Revenge films.
My name is Sarah. I married at the age of 26 and had a son. My husband was there with me during the delivery. He was so excited to see the baby.
I'm so proud of you, Sarah! The baby is perfect!
I was happy to hear him say that, and I felt lucky to be married to such a perfect husband. But my happiness didn't last long. A year later, I went back to work after my maternity leave. I used to work full-time. After I returned from maternity leave, I requested to work fewer hours so I could have more time to take care of the baby. My husband helped with simple things around the house and played with the baby while I finished the rest of the housework. He was helpful, but every time he did any small task, he would look like he had accomplished something extraordinary. But he wouldn't do anything more than that. The work my husband helped me with was less than 10% of the things I had to do daily. It's common for the baby to wake up during the night. Recently, the baby cried so much at night, and it took me hours to get him to stop crying. Even after the baby stopped crying, he would stay up and not go back to sleep. If the baby was awake, I also had to stay awake because he would put anything in sight into his mouth. Meanwhile, my husband would be deep asleep in a different room. I was exhausted every day from sleep deprivation after I gave birth. That's why I didn't have the courage to work full-time like before. At first, my husband was very understanding and supportive of my decision. However, he's later started leaving all the housework and childcare duties to me. I was swamped with all the work while he sat there doing nothing. When I asked him, "I took our son to the hospital today, so I didn't have time to make dinner. Can we get takeout instead?" He replied,
You didn't have time at all? How is it possible? You took a nap, didn't you?
One day, it started raining when I was bathing my son before dinner. My hands were occupied, and I couldn't leave the baby, so I shouted to my husband in the living room, "Can you help me bring in the laundry? I'm giving our son a bath right now." But he didn't respond. After I finished bathing my son and went to the living room, I saw my husband using his phone on the sofa. And the laundry outside was already drenched with rain. My husband also didn't care if I had a fever. Even when I was dizzy and shivering with chills, I still had to make dinner for my husband and son and do the dishes afterward. I had nobody to rely on. And my husband and I had different views on how to raise our child. As a result, I was mentally and physically exhausted. Both of my in-laws work. My mother-in-law is a doctor, has her own clinic, and makes quite a lot. I'm a certified bookkeeper, but even when I worked full-time, I could only make about half of what my mother-in-law makes. My husband soon became dissatisfied with my shortened work hours because it lowered my pay.
My mom did housework and raised me while working full-time. Why can't you do the same? Especially when you're working shorter hours than her. If you can't make money, at least do housework well.
My husband forced all the housework and childcare on me. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't want to compromise at all. He said,
Doesn't matter if we have a baby. As a wife, you should always be responsible for household work. Plus, I make more money than you, which means you must listen to me. My mom took care of everything. How can you give up before you try? You should stop making excuses and start doing it. I still can't believe you changed your work schedule. Daycare isn't free, you know. How are we supposed to live a comfortable life if you don't work full-time and earn more salary? Unlike you, my mom returned to work immediately after giving birth to me.
My mother-in-law must be a superwoman, but I'm just an ordinary person, and there's no way I can be like her. I felt like I was going to lose my mind at that point. I decided to talk to my mother-in-law on my off day without telling my husband. I asked her while crying, "How do I become like you? I want to be as efficient as you. Could you tell me what your secret was?" My mother-in-law's eyes widened, and she said, "What? Did he say that? I'm terrible at doing housework. I'm even worse at cooking." My mother-in-law told me she pretty much only served store-bought food when my husband was young. Even now, my in-laws still mostly eat ready-made food. My mother-in-law would vacuum the house once a week and lightly dust the rest of the time. She would hire professional cleaners to clean the house monthly. Professional cleaners can do a better and faster job than me. They make the bathroom and kitchen as bright as the new pin. And if my father-in-law still felt something was not clean enough, my mother-in-law would tell him to clean it himself. Whenever my father-in-law said,
"I'm a little hungry,"
my mother-in-law would reply, "Make something then. I did laundry often because we wouldn't have things to wear if I didn't, but I would hang most of the clothes on hangers because I didn't want to fold stuff. Ironing shirts was annoying too, so I brought all the shirts to the dry cleaner." My mother-in-law also hired someone to take care of my husband until he was 9, and she usually wouldn't pick him up until she got off work around 7. It's impossible to do housework and childcare perfectly when working. I wonder who he has mistaken me for. My mother-in-law was very confused, so I asked her to talk to my husband later. I sat beside them and listened to their conversation. Then I realized my husband wasn't lying. He genuinely thought my mother-in-law did everything by herself perfectly. I still hire professional cleaners to clean our house now. Do you want to see the receipts? It was Mrs. Sari who took care of you when you were little and made those homemade snacks for you. I had to work during the day. It was impossible to make snacks for you. In fact, I think I've never made any snacks at home. Maybe I made an instant pudding once, but you can hardly call that homemade. I can't believe you asked Sarah to do all the housework and childcare just because she doesn't earn as much as me. Why don't you do the housework then? You're not making more than I do either. Plus, it was costly to hire someone to get things done. My salary might be high at the time, but there was barely anything left after I paid them. My mother-in-law scolded my husband. In the end, she said, "The perfect mom in your memory is not the real me. I don't know how you made up that memory, but it's completely false, and I really don't like it." My husband seemed depressed after hearing what she said. Because I felt like I was about to lose my mind, I moved back to my parents' house and started living separately from my husband.
It must have been very hard for you. Take a good rest for a while.
Okay, thanks, Mom. My mother was heartbroken for me, so she didn't let me help with anything until my condition improved. Finally, I got better and was able to face my son with a smile again. Even though babies couldn't talk, they could sense the feelings of their parents. They'll smile more if the parents smile. And they'll cry if the parents look sad. Maybe I was the cause of my son's intense crying at night. After staying in my parents' home for a while, he hardly cried at night. A month later, he started to sleep soundly at night. My husband called me after 3 months of separation.
"It was all my fault! Please come home!"
He begged me to move back.
"I'll take good care of the baby and do housework properly from now on!"
He seemed to be struggling with doing both housework and work by himself. If he has really reflected on his mistakes and is willing to change and start helping around the house, maybe I can give him another chance and get back with him again.
"Oh, let's go to your favorite restaurant together! Didn't you say you wanted to watch? I'll buy one for you! Come home soon!"
My husband is trying everything to get me back, so I decided to wait a bit longer. I'll wait till the best gift comes.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.